Hey everyone, Xander's here, and I've been saying for a while that I wanted to start talking more about Doctor Who. Really, I rarely talk about the show on this channel. I did a Let's Play series back earlier on, about 2 years ago almost, which you can check out there as one of my earlier Let's Plays, which means it's really rough around the edges, so good luck getting through it, I guess. And the last video I did about Doctor Who most recently was about the recent announcement of the Power of the Daleks DVD. So cool there. But talking about that really got me to the point where I decided to actually really commit to the concept of doing videos around Doctor Who. And so today we are going to be starting a brand new series on this channel, and this is the inaugural episode. And if I'm going to talk about Doctor Who, I might as well swan dive headfirst into the deep end and talk about, well, the man himself, the Doctor. For those of you that may not know, the Doctor is an alien known as Time Lord from the planet Gallifrey. Through advanced technologies, Time Lords have the ability to travel through time and space. And that's where all the wacky adventures we've come to know and love. And outside of, the companions and the villains of the show, the most memorable character is, of course, the Doctor. But the Doctor is a unique character in that his species have this ability called regeneration. Now, originally known as rejuvenation, earlier on in the series, this kind of came about because of the health of the original Doctor Who actor that originated the role of the Doctor, William Hartnell, and he became ill, and they had to figure out if they were going to cancel the show or not, and they decided to create what was called rejuvenation to allow a new actor to take his place. And from there, it kind of became the standard for how they would transition when an actor wanted to be the role. And here we are, over 50 years later, and it's still done to this day. And that kind of brings up an interesting question. Who's your favorite Doctor? Now, that's not really an easy question to answer for a lot of people, me being one of those. Now, sure, while there are people out there that can tell you their favorite Doctor right off the top of their heads, no hesitation, I'm not one of them. I tried to put a list together for this episode from my least favorite of the top 6 to favorite of the top 6. And the positions kind of didn't stay in one place, it kept shifting. The list itself just kind of became, well, wibbly wobbly. Yeah, that. So I decided, no particular order. That makes this so much easier, and it allows me to keep my sanity. So, without further ado, for this very first episode of Doctor Who Reviews, I give you my top 6 favorite Doctors. And in the words of the immortal 10th Doctor, let's begin. Allons-y! Number 6. The Seventh Doctor. Yes, the chess master himself is on this list. Portrayed by Sylvester McCoy from 1987 to 1989 when the series was cancelled, this is certainly the most Machiavellian incarnation of the Doctor. The plotter, the schemer, the oncoming storm. This is someone that wasn't afraid to go the distance and maybe even destroy people in front of him, whereas other incarnations were a little bit more lax on destroying the bad guy. The Seventh Doctor didn't hesitate if they kind of didn't take his initial plea to leave. This was a Doctor who was willing to take things to the extreme if the need called for it. He actively sought out the evil in the universe, unlike previous incarnations, no matter what time period it was in, and he did his best to stop it. This proactive attitude brought him up against some of the greatest foes in the Doctor's many lives, including long-standing foes like the Master, the Cybermen, and the Daleks. He also went toe-to-toe with the Elder Gods, such as the Gods of Ragnarok and Fenric. But beyond television, there are big finished audio plays where the Seventh Doctor still continues his fight against evil. He's gained new companions that never made it on TV, such as the archaeologist Brittany Summerfield from the Virgin Publishing range of novels, and Rain Creevy, a cat burglar who was supposed to join with the Seventh Doctor and Ace in the unproduced season 27 of the show. These audio-only adventures have also seen the Seventh Doctor encounter Nazis, unnatural temporal anomalies, and even the personification of death itself. This incarnation makes this list because of his evolution from when he first regenerated in Time in the Ronnie, where he was more comedic and bumbling, into the wise but ruthless protector of good and truth. He's complex, has many regrets, and has an uncontrollable obsession with fighting evil. The obsession is so intense that he goes on to create what is essentially his own personal NSA network where he can spy on and keep tabs on many points in time and many places in the universe, thus helping him preemptively planning ways to stop terrible events from happening. Now, for many Whovians, including myself, this scene I'm about to show you from Remembrance of the Daleks is the perfect personification of who the Seventh Doctor is.
Do you think I would let you have control of the Hand of Omega?
Do not do this, I beg of you!
Nothing can stop it now!
Have pity on me!
I have pity for you.
15!
Bye, Davros. It hasn't been pleasant.
The Seventh Doctor tricked Davros and the Daleks into destroying their own home. Yeah, he's that ruthless. He did it with no regret and no remorse. This interesting mix of intensity, wisdom, intelligence, and even lack of remorse at times is what really makes this character interesting to me, and well, why this incarnation makes this list. Number 5. The 12th Doctor. The current incarnation of the Doctor, and the first in a new line of regenerations, he was first introduced to us in the Time of the Doctor. With his Harambe-style coat and his large gray mane of hair, and very, very intimidating eyebrows, the 12th Doctor has really kind of weaseled his way into the hearts of many Whovians. Not all, but for me, he's definitely one of the more interesting twists on the Doctor in recent years. We're seeing kind of a lot of sameness in the other incarnations from 9 to 11. The 12th is a big departure, and in fact it's kind of reminiscent of the classic era, and that's why I like him. Portrayed by Peter Capaldi, the 12th Doctor is certainly someone you don't want to mess with. Wandering through several adventures with his companion Clara Oswald, the Doctor struggled to find an answer to the question, am I a good man? While many, myself included, would gladly answer yes, there are definitely parts of this incarnation that are harsh and stern, including forcibly ejecting a group of entities from our dimension back to their own. Though he puts up a tough exterior, inside he's a man who has many insecurities and a hopeful outlook on the good in a universe full of evil. This is certainly one of the most inquisitive incarnations in recent history, asking questions like, why do we talk out loud when we know we're alone? Or, who put those notes and phrases together? Who really composed Beethoven's Fifth? Questions like these either lead to adventures or help explain aspects of the adventure we're about to experience. This shows the high level of thinking and far-reaching imagination of this Doctor. While he still has this childlike wonder about the universe that previous incarnations have had, he has a more cynical and brash attitude that tends to rub people the wrong way, even leading to some calling him cold-hearted. Such as a time he calmly asked a soldier who was about to die to swallow a tracer pill just so he could follow his incinerated remains to their destination. Yeah, that was a bit harsh. What I find so compelling about this Doctor is his rashness. He'll just as soon insult you to your face as look at you, but he's more than willing to help, even if he does kind of do it in a way that makes you feel like you have to convince him. While he tends to not like children, he has befriended several throughout his adventures so far, including a young Viking girl named Ishildur, who ends up playing a major role in the 12th Doctor's life. Though I do find this incarnation's hatred of soldiers a bit weird, I do enjoy his bit of respect he still has for Kate Stewart, the daughter of his longtime friend Brigadier Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart. Try saying that name 3 times fast. Not easy. He's willing to question things around him and even himself. He'll throw himself into danger for his friends without hesitation, or he'll do it just to cure his own curiosity. He's encountered Davros, Zygons, and the first female incarnation of the Master, named Missy, but has also taken on new foes like the Veiled, the Foretold, and the Boneless. Personally, I'm really looking forward to the continued adventures of the 12th Doctor and his new companion Bill starting next year. So here's to the continued success of this incarnation and to many more years in the TARDIS. Number 4. The Fourth Doctor. Yeah, I'm sure no one's really surprised by this entry. The Bohemian himself, the Fourth Doctor, is without a doubt the most iconic incarnation of the Doctor, and that's why he makes this list with ease. I mean, who doesn't recognize that scarf, or jelly babies, or that smile, or that, tuft of hair? You know who this person is the moment you see him. Portrayed by Tom Baker from 74 to 81, the Fourth Doctor is really the quintessential Doctor for many fans. Even newer fans who've never seen an adventure know who he is. Aloof and peculiar, this incarnation bounced around time and space like a giddy child, always in search of new things to pique his interest and to snub authority whenever possible. This tall figure with intense eyes and a charming grin, along with his overly long, multicolored scarf, were hard to miss, and often he didn't try to be missed. Usually getting involved in situations willingly, with some exceptions, this is one of the incarnations that most loved to meddle. He was technically inclined, boundlessly optimistic, and at times, borderline insane. A true Renaissance man. Accompanied by an array of companions, from an intrepid journalist to a robotic dog to another of his own kind, he was willing to take any that had the willingness to expand beyond what they were and reach their true potential, so long as he too saw something in them. His adventures took him from primordial Earth to Gallifrey and even to a parallel universe. He took on corrupt governments, despots, and perversions of nature twisted by science. Gothic horror was his plate du jour for his era, and fans for years have taken to it like a moth to the flame. Encountering foes like Davros, the Master, and Sontarans, we also saw him fend off the likes of Sutek, a powerful being from a long-dead race, the deranged Morbius, a renegade Time Lord that had been executed but whose brain had been rescued, and an eccentric plant-loving millionaire who tries to destroy all human life with the help of extraterrestrial plant life. No, I'm serious, that actually happened. It's called the Seeds of Doom. Look it up. Many high-concept and strange enemies and situations plagued this Doctor's life, and it made for many classic stories that are still loved today. The eccentricity, the joy of discovery, and the disregard for authority are really some of the things that endear this character to me. It reminds me a lot of things about myself and my personality. And I think that's why I have a connection to this character. I mean, his adventures on television were iconic for a reason. They were well-told stories, they were interesting, they were different. And that still plays out today in the Big Finish audios, which capture what made his era special. For that unwavering morality, and frankly for introducing me to jelly babies, that is just some of the reasons he's one of my favorite incarnations. I really highly suggest checking out his stories, either through Big Finish or through his time on television. You can't go wrong. Number 3. The Second Doctor. With his trusty recorder in hand and his sharp wits about him, the Second Doctor, the Cosmic Hope himself, has arrived on this list. Portrayed by the late, great Patrick Troughton, the Second Doctor was on screen from 1966 to 1969, and boy, was he one of the most rebellious, yet moral of the incarnations. The Second Doctor is one of the most beloved Doctors from the classic era, probably right behind the Fourth Doctor. I mean, with that jet black mop top and that coy smile, and frankly, being one of the first incarnations to actually wear a bow tie because, well,
bow ties are cool.
Short, overly clever, often comical, constantly calculating, and often a bit mercurial, this incarnation stands out as the most alien incarnation up until the Fourth Doctor. Generally very polite, but at times very gruff. He wasn't fond of those that would use power to oppress those less fortunate than themselves. He would strive to see as much of the universe as he could. It was his playground, and he would enjoy every moment of it that he could. Traveling to space stations in the far future, the Scottish Highlands in the 1700s, and even to a pocket universe where fiction is made manifest. Again, I'm not joking, it's called The Mind Robber. Really go check it out. It is amazing. His adventures were strange, dark, and technologically fascinating. Accompanied by such companions as a modern-day naval officer, a highly intelligent astrophysicist, and a young Highlander from the 1700s, the Second Doctor surrounded himself with several interesting and curious young travelers. He even helped inspire the creation of the ever-present UNIT organization, which was headed by his soon-to-be longtime friend and comrade, the Brigadier. The Cybermen and the Daleks haunted the footsteps of this Doctor for many years, but there were also those like the Great Intelligence with his Yetis and the Icewares who also had their respective beginning tussles with the Doctor in this incarnation. The Doctor's taste for jelly babies, the sonic screwdriver, and even regeneration, even popularizing the concept of catchphrases for an individual incarnation.
Off my giddy off!
When I say run, run like a rabbit.
Run
This incarnation was one of change to the series, as this was the first time the show had gone through the growing pain of a new Doctor. Arguably, if his time on the show had failed, he wouldn't have the series today. But he went on to not only succeed, but become one of the most well-known incarnations, being cited by 4 other actors who portrayed the role as their favorite incarnation. The reason this incarnation made the list is his strong sense of right and wrong, his comedic timing, his manipulative, calculating schemes. He is someone that was just enjoyable to watch. And I'm sad that we don't get to enjoy new adventures with Patrick, but with Frasier, we still get to see the second Doctor alive, in Big Finish. And that's why he makes this list. Number 2. The 11th Doctor. And the bow tie returns. Yes, the man who made bow ties are cool, one of the most overused phrases, has made this list. The enigmatic, energetic, and ever-friendly 11th Doctor, portrayed by Matt Smith from 2010 to 2013, makes this list with ease. And I know I say that a lot, but no, really, it was just easy for me to put him on this list as one of my favorite Doctors. With his famous bow tie and tweed jacket along with his pronounced chin, this incarnation was one to not sit still and wanted to explore all he hadn't seen in the universe yet. While he was more fun-loving and off-the-wall compared to more recent incarnations, he was also one with plenty of loss and regret still holding sway over his heart and mind. Called the man who forgot by the moment, Raggedy Man by the first person his incarnation ever met, and Sweetie by one of the greatest loves of his lives, he was a complex person with a lot of simple, straightforward aspects that you couldn't help but love. Taking his companions along in the TARDIS to England during the London Blitz, a junkyard on an asteroid through a rift leading outside the universe, and to a country on the back of the space whale, he tussled with familiar faces from his past such as the Daleks, Weeping Angels, the Great Intelligence, and Silurians. But even this late in his life, the Doctor was able to make new enemies with the Silence, an ancient leech called Mr. Sweets, and an intelligent consciousness called House. The more unique enemies of this incarnation tend to be in one-off stories, with some in two-parters, but they definitely made an impact on the fan base as well as myself. Still dealing with his own loneliness as being what he thought was the last of his race in the fallout of the Time War, he may have moved past all the pain and guilt that his more recent incarnations dealt with. But that didn't mean he had no regrets. It just meant he had them better behind a smile or a joke. Loss and death were as constant a companion as any other with the 11th Doctor. So much so that they even manifested into a being known as the Dream Lord. This being, made up of the Doctor's own dark impulses, reminiscent of the Valeyard, really brought this aspect of the 11th Doctor's psyche to light, noting himself that while it was only a psychic projection brought on by a mind parasite called psychic pollen that feeds on everything dark in you, yes, we've established Doctor Who's weird, just go along with it.
Psychic pollen, it's a mind parasite, feeds on everything dark in you, gives it a voice, turns it against you. 907. Had a lot to go on.
The most childlike of the incarnations, an old man trapped in a young man's body, trying to see the good in the universe again and traveling in it. While he still has his regrets, he does his best to move past them and really live again. He is definitely the most human the Doctors have ever been. A charm and youthfulness with a sense of wonderment that most of us lost long ago, manifest into this one incarnation and take flight all on its own. Seeing life as a wonderful adventure to be experienced and that good will always triumph over the evil that hides in the darkness is the main reason this incarnation makes this list. He's optimistic. Frankly, optimism sometimes is what we really need. Number 1. The 6th Doctor. And I can already hear the angry comments being typed down below. Before you go any farther, yes, I like the 10th Doctor too. And yes, he was my first Doctor. He's just not in my top 6 favorites. Now, it's not just new Who fans that are going to be sitting there scratching their heads. The old school fans are going to be doing the same thing because, frankly, why would the most disliked incarnation of the Doctor be on my list of top favorite incarnations? Well, let's talk about that. Portrayed by Colin Baker from 84 to 86, this was the incarnation that nearly got the show canceled prior to 1989. But the thing is, it wasn't really Colin's fault, and we'll talk about that. Egotistical, bullshit, petty, extremely pragmatic, and unhinged were the words that best described this incarnation when he first appeared on television. Strangling his then companion Perry Brown in his first episode due to a fit of paranoia brought on by his regeneration did little to help fans become accustomed to this new Doctor. Aside from his rather dark personality, there's also his renowned and sometimes reviled garish patchwork coat of many colors. Colin Baker himself later described the coat as, and I quote, an explosion in a rainbow factory. The Sixth Doctor's time on television is one of the shortest in the history of the show, lasting only 2 full seasons, and his actor is the only one to have been fired from the show in its 50-year history. Though, to be fair, it wasn't the actor's fault he was fired. At the time, the BBC was doing everything it could to kill the show due to the head of the organization having a strong dislike of Sci-Fi. Could you even imagine that happening today? The BBC trying to kill Doctor Who, arguably one of its most profitable international properties? This led to Colin refusing to come back for the regeneration scene of his Doctor into the 7th Doctor, which led to the following scene. Yeah, that was Sylvester McCoy in a wig with special effects blocking out his face. Or at least trying to. The 80s wasn't really the best time for Akidi magic. The situation also led to one of the long-standing mysteries of the show's history. Just what did happen to cause the 6th Doctor to regenerate into the 7th Doctor? On screen, this incarnation saw conflict with the likes of the Cybermen and the Daleks, though sadly each of them only got one story during his tenure. Though the 6th Doctor did have some unique villains, such as Syl, a mentor from the planet Thoros Beta, and most famously, the Valeyard, who was an amalgamation of all the Doctor's distilled darkness between his 12th and final incarnation. Needless to say, due to all the troubles the show had during Colin's time on it, such as decent to poor scripts, a showrunner who wanted to leave but wasn't allowed, the BBC actively trying to axe the show, and several other missteps, led to the 6th Doctor being considered the least of the 13 incarnations. However, Big Finish came to the rescue and, turned that around. Thanks to Big Finish, the 6th Doctor not only got a new lease on life, but was able to grow beyond the character we originally saw on television. The harsher parts of his personality were slowly edged away, making way for a Doctor whose compassion is great in scale. His pragmatism still exists, but is projected with more care and concern. The unhinged nature is gone, replaced with consideration and forethought. The pettiness, again while still present in some minor form, is pulled by an ego that has matured. While the multicolored coat may still exist, it no longer stands out to fans that follow Big Finish as just some eyesore of clothing. It's become synonymous with a Doctor to be proud of. Honestly, it's his Big Finish adventures that really put him on this list for me. His stories tend to be heartwarming or heart-wrenching, thought-provoking, or overly comical. It's really a versatile Doctor to write for, and I can see why a lot of people work at Big Finish enjoy working with Colin and his Doctor. From his times traveling with his audio-exclusive companion, Dr. Evelyn Smythe, to his 2 adventures with a comic-exclusive companion named Frobisher, to seeing him enjoying with past friends and companions such as Jamie McCrimmon, Zoe Harriet, and the Victorian-era duo Jaguar and Lightfoot, all these adventures with new and old companions help draw a far broader picture of the 6th Doctor than the television series ever allowed. Taking on the likes of Davros, the Axos, the Master, and the Celestial Toymaker, as well as getting new villains such as the Eminence, Nimrod and his government research group, the Forge, and Dr. Robert Knox. But there's one other thing Big Finish did for the 6th Doctor that the television series never did, and that's give him a regeneration story. Yes, Big Finish tackled the 6th Doctor's last story, resulting in his regeneration into the 7th Doctor. Titled The 6th Doctor, The Last Adventure, this story follows the Doctor through 4 different points in his incarnation with 4 different companions, and it features the 6th Doctor's most prominent adversary, the Valeyard. It's an adventure that weaves a great story throughout and gives a proper and well-deserved send-off to one of my favorite Doctors. Don't worry though, Colin's still doing stories for Big Finish. That wasn't his final story, it was just chronologically the last in his incarnation. The incarnation considered the black sheep of the line, one that grew from a dark and disturbed place to one full of wisdom, morality, generosity, righteousness, and the zeal for life. This is the incarnation that deserved redemption the most and got it. The 6th Doctor went from being overly simplistic to a more complex and enjoyable character. He traveled the stars and time streams, enjoying victories for good and dealing with loss of life to those both dear to him or just innocents caught in the crossfire. Those things and so many more are reasons to appreciate this incarnation of the Doctor that sadly are lost to those who only take the television series into consideration. I really hope that his place on this list really helps encourage you to go check out his Big Finish stories so that you can get to know the incarnation better. And maybe, just maybe, you'll come to appreciate him as much as I have. Thanks for joining me on this inaugural episode of Doctor Who Reviews. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos on this channel, and don't forget to check me out on Twitter. I'm on there every day at least a little bit, so feel free to come chat with me. So, until the next one, my name is Zandros, and this has been Doctor Who Reviews, where the discussions are always bigger on the inside. Until next time.